sunshine and bad weather. It's a matter of getting deeper in any way you can.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Bilal, and welcome to Jeannie on the Beat, Talking with the Talent, Ann Arbor's newest talk variety show, where I'll bring you up close and personal with fabulous writers, performers, and other fascinating folks. My guest tonight is filmmaker Sultan Sharrief, writer and director of the Sundance pick and critically acclaimed film Bilal's Stand. Also associate producer of the new film just released in theaters, Mooz-lum, and executive producer at Bottom Line Films, LLC. Sultan is a graduate of the U of M Film School and a native of Detroit. Bilal's Stand is based on Sharrief's life as a Detroit kid who gets accepted into the University of Michigan, but struggles to tell his working-class family that he's going away to college and abandoning the family taxi stand. Let's take a look at the trailer for Bilal's Stand.
I'm going to show you a world you've never seen before. No, I'm not from some foreign place. I'm just talking about perception. When you live in Detroit, this game of perception is one you're constantly playing. See, there's the world everybody sees on the outside, and the one I can see existing underneath.
Life happens, I look outside my window.
And the world I see is not the world that I knew before.
The problem when you're somebody like me is that everyone's always trying to push you in one direction or another. I applied to go to the University of Michigan. I got in.
So what's the problem now?
Look, we can't afford it.
Anything you don't need, we're gonna have to hold off on, okay?
See, if you got no chance of surviving, then you gotta try something. So even if you die trying, at least you gave it a shot.
Hospitality has an ice carving scholarship.
Ice carving? What's the deal with this competition coming up?
Now, you're going to need to get first, second, or third place to get any money.
What about your mama?
I cannot run that stand by myself, Bilal.
But when you have an opportunity like this, you cannot let it pass you by. A lot of people don't even get this chance.
Not if your family needs you, not if they're barely getting by and they need your help. You can't just leave.
Granddaddy started to stand for the family to have a place to go and a place to work. It's not that simple. You just don't get it.
You think it's easier for me? Well, at least you're black.
What?
You going to your party tomorrow?
What I look like calling in so you can go to some stupid party?
No, you owe me for switching projects.
There's a saying in Islam, after God is your mother. But how do you obey your parents if you think they're telling you something wrong? Do you do it even if they say no? Or do you do enough to convince them otherwise? I don't know.
So welcome, Sultan. It's really great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I just loved this film. It was beautiful, it was interesting, and really heartfelt. Why did you decide to do a film that was so directly related to your own personal life experience?
Well, as I went through high school and eventually got to U of M, and then started working with youth, I saw so many people who had similar experiences, but who had different outcomes just because of their sort of perception of their own capabilities. And so as we started a youth program, I really wanted to tell a story that I felt like would be relevant to high school students. And so the best thing I could think to do was to tell something that I had personally experienced.
I commend you. I think it takes a lot of courage.
Thank you.
To do that, and so really impressed me on that note. How was it for you to have your own very intimate personal life experience, up on the big screen? Was it a little intimidating?
Yeah, a wee bit, but it was such a process to get to that point. So the film actually originally started out about a girl, and it was not about myself.
Oh, really?
And then I changed it to a guy at the last, while we were doing auditions actually, and then slowly the character through reshoots and changing voiceover, it became more and more sort of like my own life. And so it took us 4 years to finish the film. And it was sort of like, as I was getting more comfortable with the story, I kept feeling like, you need to go deeper, you need to go deeper. And so, and then people would ask for it as we screened like the rough cut. They would say, I want to know more about the family, or I want to know more about this element. And then I'd go record some voiceover or write a new scene, and then we'd shoot that and then stick it into the movie.
That is fascinating. I didn't realize that it morphed that much. You even like transgendered it.
Yeah, when we did the auditions, all the gender roles were reversed, and so people they came back for callbacks, and they were like, "Wasn't this character a guy the last time?"
What happened
here? What happened? Kenny became Allie. What is that?
What are you messing with here?
But it ended up working out.
Oh, it worked out great. I love it. So some of these are very directly related to your own family experience, right? How was it for your own family to see themselves on film? Did you get a lot of arguments like, you know, wait a minute, I never said that. What? What are you talking about? What are you doing?
Yes and no. I mean, we shot at my real family's house and my family's cab company. So most people are just excited that we were making a movie. But there's also sort of this personal narrative that's in there that only my family understands in terms of things that happened and things that we experienced. And so I think everybody understood sort of the story was being told like for the greater good, so to speak, in the hopes that other people might benefit from things that we had gone through as a family. And so most of the people in my family were a part of the story at some point, whether it be on screen or, you know, helping us to get cars, helping us to get extras, cooking food for the set, you know. And so everybody was willing to sort of collectively tell their own story through this one movie.
So they were just really completely on board.
Yeah,
Wholly.
A lot of people
That's
I don't
really
think
cool.
ever really knew what we were shooting either. There were some surprises at the first premiere that we had. And
Oh,
they were
really?
like, I didn't know that was what the movie was about. But because they would only see it, you know, you shoot out of order. So they would see a scene and then somebody else would see a different scene. And so they never kind of put the whole thing. They were just like, so Tom's making a movie about the family. So then they were just on board.
So you're like,
that.
surprise, yeah, okay, deal with it. It's staying.
Yeah.
That's great. I love hearing about the process, you know, the behind the scenes. So I think it's pretty unusual and rare to see such a personal story of a Muslim family depicted on film. What do you hope that viewers will take away from your film about being a young black Muslim today?
Yeah, I really wanted to do something that, and why I eventually made the character Muslim, because the girl wasn't actually originally.
Oh, really?
And so that was another last minute change to the script while we were shooting, I think, once we started shooting. And I really wanted to make something that would show people sort of the regular life that you live, you know, as a Muslim. And I got to college in fall of 2001, so 9/11 was my second week of college at the University of Michigan, and I remember seeing, you know, stuff happening at like Wayne State and Detroit, and these lots of incidents, and people on campus would be talking Muslims this, Muslims that, and I'd be like, I'm Muslim, I'm kind of sitting right here, you know, and I just felt like no one really understood what that experience was like. But then you couldn't blame them, because like, you know, when I go around and screen the film, I'll ask people, name a Muslim woman, you know? And most people, whether it be a character, a political figure, a spokesperson, no one can name a Muslim woman just in most cities around the country. And there's just no familiarity. And with that lack of familiarity, there's no humanity, you know, to the Muslim experience. And so we just wanted to show, you know, a lot of people will see the movie and they'll be like, I thought there was going to be some, like, it was a Muslim movie, and that kid could have been anybody, you know, and I'm like, that's kind of the point.
That's the point,
like, you know, Muslims in America, you aren't living some crazy lifestyle. Like, you go to school and you have issues with boys or girls or boyfriends, girlfriends, and little leagues and football teams, and it's just, that's a part of the American experience, you know.
Well, I'm really hoping that this is an entree, you know, and that it's a breakthrough in a lot of ways to do that. I appreciate that very much, that you guys did it beautifully.
Thank you.
So another exciting thing, your film was shown in 2010 as one of the most prestigious indie film festivals in the world, the Sundance Film Festival, in the new Next Less is More category.
Yeah.
It was one of 8 films selected for that category out of like over 7,000 films.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about that new category and its relationship to your film and that whole story.
Well, it was, I mean, it's perfect timing. It's one of those things that like you never think would ever happen, you know, and then it came to fruition. So we, you know, we had been working on the film for 4 years, and with just scraping by with no money and just, you know, working to get money, then shooting for, then waiting 6 more months and then shooting some more. And it was a big struggle. And then, you know, with the economic crash and Hollywood got hit really hard, it really made a lot of people start thinking about what was independent cinema. And over the years, it had sort of changed to become Hollywood, which is kind of totally ironic because independent cinema and even Sundance Film Festival was created as an alternative to Hollywood to give people who weren't at that level a chance to be seen. And then over the years, the 25 years that it's been around, it became this very Hollywood thing. And so, so they took it as an opportunity to kind of get back to their roots of why they started. This was about people with no money just grabbing a camera and telling some story, you know, and that's really what we were committed to as well. And also it changes whose story you're allowed to hear, right? And so if you think of what types of stories might get funded and the motivations behind funding a story, it's usually because it's gonna sell, and that's gonna be sex or violence or something blowing up, you know? And so if you have another story that's, you know, like a, I don't know, Winter's Bone or, you know, some crazy story like that, that's where the independent world is for you. And so, so we were really excited to be in the first year of that, and we just thought it was kind of a perfect fit because that was why we chose to tell that story and to tell it the way we did, working with high school students and working with people in the community. And then Sundance sort of validated our commitment we had made for 5 years previous when we set out on the journey to make that film, and it was an amazing experience.
Do you remember the day when you heard?
Oh,
you guys
I'll
made
never
Sundance?
forget that day. Yeah, it was. Things have been going really rough for me. I had put everything I could into the movie. I actually didn't really know that we had submitted because it had been so long ago that I had taken the little bit of money we had left, given it to this guy, and it was like submit to film festivals. And then I had waited to, because Sundance, I wanted to premiere at Sundance, but you submit early, and like we had submitted in like June or something. And so I had lost my job. My car was like broken down, and like and my credit cards were all maxed out. And actually, I had a business account, like a website and everything that was linked to my credit card, but because my car was maxed out, it had been shut down. So it's the day before Thanksgiving. I'm driving to Mississippi. And then I get a call from Terry Saris, who's a professor at U of M and the producer of the film. And she says, somebody from Sundance just emailed me. They said they've been trying to get a hold of you for 2 weeks, but your phone number doesn't work and it's been disconnected. And your internet, your email isn't working either. It's also been disconnected. And she's like, this is the lady's phone number, call her. And I'm like freaking out because I'm like, what if they like the movie? And I actually didn't even think, I didn't want to think that we got in.
Yeah.
So I called them back, and mind you, this is Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. And then the lady calls me back 10 minutes later, and she's like, you are a hard man to get a hold of. She's like, you're harder to get a hold of than Clint Eastwood. Like, I'm sorry. And then, yeah, and then she's like, well, there's no other way to put it. Congratulations, you got in. And I'm like crying my eyes out on the phone. And it was just a really amazing moment. And then, yeah, it was really, really cool.
It's like this huge blessing.
Yeah, there's a whole nother
needed.
element because we were going to Mississippi in a house that, I don't want to tell a long story. Basically, our house had burned down when I was 14, and none of my siblings had been back in this house. So like, as I'm hearing that my film has gotten on the Sundance, all of my siblings walk in the door, and so they're already crying, and then I start crying, and they thought I was crying just because they were there. And then my fiance was like, no, you don't understand. So then I told them, and it was a really cool moment.
Oh,
yeah.
that is an amazing story.
Yeah.